couple days ago, Dan and I sat in the living room of Robert Gentry in Knoxville, Tennessee, who worked at Oak Ridge Laboratories. He's a scientist. He was one of the world's experts on the disposal of nuclear waste. But he wrote all sorts of articles. They were published in all sorts of major journals until they found out he's a creationist. Right away, shut him off. Nobody will publish anything he writes anymore. Because if they do, then they're giving credibility to a creationist. And they want to be able to stand up and say, you creationists never publish in scientific journals. Well, yeah, we try, but you won't take our stuff. So that's like somebody standing up in the Soviet Union saying, well, hey, you know, capitalists, there aren't any capitalist teachers. Obviously, it can't be good. I mean, that doesn't take a freshman law student to figure that out. That's not good logic. But the technique that the media uses all the time is to try to divide religion from science. We'll get into more when we get into seminar part 4 of how Charles Lyell did that in his book, Principles of Geology, clear back in 1830. He's one of the guys, there are many people in the early 1800s who tried to drive a wedge between the Bible and science. The truth of the matter is, all of the branches of science were started by creationists. From 1600, 1700, all the major branches of science. I defy people to name me one advancement we have in scientific information because of the evolution theory. Is that why we have light bulbs, computers, plastics, space shuttles? What good has the evolution theory done? Come up with some during the course. Or if you watch our video, send me some. I would like to know, what good has the theory done? See, if a person believes there's a creator, then he's going to look for design and order in nature. Why did the creator do it that way? Oh, I bet there's a reason for that. Let me think what it is. One guy named Murray was reading his Bible one day, and it says in Psalm chapter 8, whatsoever passeth through the paths of the sea. He said, I wonder if there are paths in the sea. You know, when they sailed from Europe over to America, they took the shortest route. Murray spent a lifetime studying currents in the ocean and discovered because of ocean currents, they could save an awful lot of time. Instead of taking the short route across the middle, follow the current. It's longer, but you get there faster. It's like having a tailwind the whole time. He got that from the Bible. You know, the Bible says the life of the flesh is in the blood. People read that and say, wow. Up until, you know, a lot of people take their blood out to help them get well. Clear up until 1860, they did bloodletting. And the Bible says the life of the flesh is in the blood. You can study there's a good book called Men of Science, Men of God, published by ICR, carries it. I don't know if they publish it, but you can get icr.org and get it from them. A great book. Men of Science, Men of God, showing a lot of the godly scientists of the past. You ever heard of an MRI machine? Magnetic resonance imaging. The guy who invented that is a creationist. Loves God. Believes the Bible. Is he a scientist? Oh, yeah. But see, to the average evolutionist, that guy would not qualify as a scientist because he believes in creation. So if they define the terms, who's a scientist, of course they will win the argument. That's how they do it. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to define the terms. And you've got to watch for that constantly. According to the creationist, 6,000 years ago God did it. According to the evolutionist, 20 billion years ago it just happened by itself. Now, these two timelines are not the same scale. On the top timeline here, every inch is 150 years, which is a long time. Abe Lincoln was not even president 1 inch ago. Columbus was running around trying to find this place right there. Vikings were going around beating up on everybody right there, right? If I was to try to show you what 20 billion years looks like at this scale, this chart would actually need to be 2,100 miles long from Pensacola to Portland, Oregon. 6,000 years does not even show up on that chart. I cannot draw a line thin enough to represent 6,000 years. So they're hiding behind long ago and far away. And somehow the brain can't accept that. The brain shuts off and says, well, it must be true. And if you tell a big lie, they're more likely to believe it. That's exactly what's happened. Now, the basic questions that you need to ask are, where did the matter come from? Where did the laws come from? And where did the energy come from? I ask that to evolutionists all the time. Okay, you say there was a Big Bang. Please help me now. Where did the matter come from? What exploded? They don't know, of course. Secondly, where did the laws come from? Notice the universe is run by laws. The law of gravity, for instance. Why do objects attract each other? How does the Earth know my pen is here? If I drop it, how long will it take the Earth to figure out where it is and start pulling on it? Instantly, right? How did it know that? If I was somehow able to create something instantly from nothing in the middle of the air, 100 miles above the Earth, how long would it take to begin falling? Where did this, what is gravity anyway? Give me a jar of it, would you please? Nobody has a clue what it is. We use it all the time, obviously, or you'd be sitting on the ceiling or something. But nobody knows what it is, and we still don't know why do we have this interesting force called gravity, or inertia, or centrifugal force. I mean, there are hundreds of forces in the universe. Where did they come from? Who made them? And why are they so precise? Thirdly, where did all this energy come from? Energy and matter are sort of interchangeable, but anytime you change from one to the other, you have a tremendous loss. So basically, where did the matter, where did the energy came from? It's sort of two sides of the same coin. But these are things the evolutionist simply doesn't know. I use the merry-go-round illustration in my seminar because it illustrates something called the law of conservation of angular momentum. If you put kids on the merry-go-round and get it spinning, as it goes faster and faster and faster, eventually, of course, the kids are going to go flying off the merry-go-round. Now, when the kid flies off, if the merry-go-round is going clockwise, the kid will be spinning clockwise as he exits. The reason for this is, if you can imagine the circle spinning, the outside has to move faster than the inside. It's got further to go in the same amount of time. And because of that, if it cracks up in a frictionless environment, now that's key, okay? This would only work in a frictionless environment. And that's what the Big Bang Theory says. All the matter was in one dot. Well, if all the matter is in one dot, then you have a totally frictionless environment. There's nothing for it to hit on the way out. So and they said it was spinning, and it exploded. Well, then, all of the fragments should be spinning the same way. But yet, they're not. Venus and Uranus, and possibly Pluto, they're not quite sure yet. Last I heard, they don't know for sure which way Pluto spins, but they think it may be spinning backwards to the other 6. Here we have 6 planets spinning one way, 2 and possibly 3 spinning the other way. And it's not just 2 planets together. Venus and Uranus have several planets in between. So why do 2 planets spin backwards? One atheist I debated said, well, maybe something hit Venus and spun it around backwards. I said, well, I suppose that's possible, but think about it for a minute. Do you realize what it would take to reverse the spin of a planet? Don't you think it would leave a dent at least? Where is the dent? Why is Venus nearly perfectly round and in a nearly perfectly circular orbit? Imagine a planet spinning and at the same time going around the sun. I want you to strike it so that it simply reverses the spin without knocking it into an elliptical orbit or knocking it out of orbit. Chances of that is 0. That ain't going to happen. Then not only do we have that problem, we have at least 6 of the 63 moons. I think there are more moons now that have been discovered. But at this time, there were, in 1989, they knew about 63 moons. 6 of them are spinning backwards. Some of them actually travel backwards around their planet. I believe, I'd have to look it up, that 2 planets, Saturn and Neptune, there it is right there, have moons orbiting both directions. Here you got a planet. Some of the moons are going this way. Other moons are going this way. Now, as these moons pass each other, there's going to be a slight gravitational tug. How long can a system like that last before it slowly disintegrates? They drift off into space.